Hello, and you're all very welcome along to the latest episode of Champ.ie's Road to Cheltenham Challenge, brought to you in association with Boylesports, Gowran Park Racecourse and Syndicates.Racing. Talking all things Cheltenham, the top performances over the 7 days, and answering your hashtag big questions every Monday. Barry and Rona will once again go head to head by giving one Ante-Post selection each week until the 2024 festival in March.
It is Lossiemouth who has the lead at the last. Lossiemouth is over by 2 lengths from centre. Then Gowran with 200 yards to race. It is Lossiemouth at the moment keeping up the gallop, keeping a 2-length advantage over Gowran, who's moved past centre, but neither will move past Lossiemouth, who wins the JCB Triumph Hurdle.
Showing over 44 points profit and 132 point stake since 2020, the Champ.ie Road to Cheltenham Challenge show is this season bidding to secure 4 years of Ante-Post profit in a row. The lads look forward to discussing your selection this week, and don't forget it's important to update your full Ante-Post portfolio in the comments to help us keep track. Give this video a like for more Cheltenham content, and be sure to subscribe to the Champ.ie YouTube channel, Ireland's premier racing podcast. Enjoy the show.
Boylesports. Don't just bet, choose wisely.
So, hello and welcome back to episode number 16 of the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. 13 days to go to the Cheltenham Festival, Ronan Groome. And on this episode, we're going to look at the handicap hurdlers and chasers from Ireland and one from France as well. Just some adjusted ratings and weights. And, of course, proud to be in association once again with Boylesports, our betting partner, Gowran Park Racecourse, the premier racecourse in the southeast of Ireland. Don't forget, get your tickets online for Shamrock Chase Day, the 9th of March, and not forgetting as well, of course, KCLR radio station in the southeast of Ireland, Carrick-Kilkenny Radio, and of course, Syndicates.Racing. Ronan Groome, let's start with the hurdlers. Lots of news yesterday. Twitter went into absolute meltdown with Constitution Hill. It's probably worth mentioning that first, and then we'll look at the handicap weights, which were announced yesterday. Constitution Hill, does he run in the champion hurdle and does he win it?
Well, I'm no vet, so I couldn't comment on that for sure. But it's not good, is it? It's not promising anyway. And even if he does show up, how straight is he going to be after that? I don't know. As I said, I'm not a vet. I can't really comment on that, I suppose. But it's just not going to be a deal. And I think if he is, how difficult a decision is it going to be for Nicky to miss Cheltenham after missing plenty of the season already? Everything has obviously been built up to that. He wouldn't say that or admit that completely, but the whole season has revolved around Cheltenham. So will he be willing to run at 80% or 90%? I don't know. So it's very interesting to see how it develops.
Let's kick on with the hurdlers, Ronan Groome.
It's interesting. It's just we put these in. These were kind of the more notable rating changes, and I've seen them being discussed on social platforms, etc. The Popova and Gabby's Cross basically comes from the same race. They both haven't ran since they ran in one of the early qualifiers at Punchestown. That was won by Jody Ted, you might recall. And remember, we gave Jody Ted quite a good positive mention for the Paddy Power Christmas. He fell quite early in that race, but he was actually really well punted on the day. So that's interesting. It's just interesting that the British handicapper has taken quite a positive look on that race. If you actually go back to the race, you can see Alpesh Amen was third. He bolted up at Gowran Park when we were there last week. Basil the Shunter was in fifth, just got edged out of a place. I'm sure the Pertemps would have been on his agenda if he made that. And then back in seventh was Shadow Rider, who bolted up at Ferryhouse just last weekend as well. So I think that British handicapper is using that form, kind of lateral or the subsequent form out of that race to rate it, and has taken quite a positive view. I'm sure Gabby's Cross and Popova, both trained by Henry de Bromhead, will at least one of them will be on target for this, and basically may have been saved all season to come here. Gabby's Cross is quite a good record fresh and is quite highly rated over fences. He's lower over hurdles than he is over fences. And
127, Ronan. 127 he's rated over hurdles. That's 13 pounds lower over hurdles than his chase mark. That's in Ireland, of course. He has been given a rating of 133, so up 6 pounds, which will mean he'll get into the race. And I thought of the three that we've mentioned there for the Pertemps, Popova and Cletus Pula, who lacks maybe a little bit of experience for a race like this. I thought Gabby's Cross was the one, and you have him in your shortlisted three takeaways from the handicap weights yesterday. Tell us why.
Yeah, I just like him because, as you mentioned, he won 40 over fences in Ireland. So even though he's the £6 higher in Britain now with the 133, still £7 lower. And that 140, you just look at some of his form. That was achieved like running third in a Leinster National, then behind Espinito Bello. Just looking through his form here, he was sixth in the Paddy Power, only beaten 4 lengths by Real Steel. So it's rock solid handicap chase form at 3 miles, and he's obviously shown an aptitude to do it over hurdles as well. He's lightly raced back in that sphere, and I'm sure the connections to this horse, Henry de Bromhead and Roger Brookhouse, just took a look at that and say, we've got him qualified now. Yeah, we can go back over fences, which might have been an option, but we could just wait and go for the Perth Thames now that he's qualified, train him for that race in mind. He's a good record fresh. So I just thought he was interesting. Yeah, interesting.
He hit the line hard. Now, obviously, you put up Waterford Whispers as your selection, and we might as well take these together, Ronan, because Sam Majest also in the green and gold, probably the biggest talking point of the whole day yesterday in relation to the handicap weights. Left on 140. He bet Noble Yates off levels. He's since come out and won a course in Grade A Company in Cheltenham, and he's a player for the Stairs. So I suppose take Sam Majest first of all, because many people were thinking he wouldn't get into the Martin Pipe. He has done, and he's been, I think we need a Stewart's inquiry for this, do we? 140, he could be absolutely thrown in.
Yeah, I've seen that. The comment from the handicapper was he just didn't know. He said this is like the hardest rating to come up with. Like taking that form from that Limerick race was just, he said he couldn't get his head around it basically. So he's done, in that case, even if that is true, he's done quite well to get in here unchanged. You think he'd just shovel on a 3 or 4 at least there just to say, yeah, okay, I don't really know, but I'm going to give him 3 anyway. He's given him nothing. So, and he's one of the few, obviously there's only a few horses that got 0 and then a couple more who are underneath their marks. But he's got absolutely nothing, which is obviously interesting. And money for him today for the Martin Pipe, he'd be getting in there, no problem. Look, I don't think, you have to take the form with some sort of pinch of salt. Obviously, Noble Yates is well backed on the day, has done very well since gone on, and he's a player for the Stairs, clearly. But you only go back 5 lengths and you find Paul Killigan's Just 3, who was rated 105 in that race. You kind of have to temper your enthusiasm a tiny bit there. For all that this Sam Majest is clearly very interesting. But
Waterford Whispers, because look, he was given a total, as we can see up on screens, of £6, but rather £6 than £2, and he don't get into the race. You must be pleased enough, at least, that he's going to get in off a nice low weight.
Yeah, you needed the £6 probably. Even 132, he might have been okay, but the £6 probably gets him close to, a reasonably good chance of getting in. And if he does get in, it's his only entry, Waterford Whispers, which was one of the big attractions with him. And with the Martin Pipe, JP's got a few options here. He's got No Ordinary Joe as well, could be interesting. So they can be split up, I guess, between that and the Coral Cup. So that's another thing to bear in mind. But Waterford Whispers' only entry is here. And for all the reasons mentioned on yesterday's podcast, he's interesting, isn't he? £6 is one of the higher Irish ratings. He's got one of the higher shoveled onto him, I suppose, but he's still lightly raced, isn't he? I think I don't mind that £6, just as you say, to get him into the race, and it's his only entry. And if he shows up here, I'll be pretty pleased with that. And I can't see him going off the price that we got yesterday.
County Hurdle, obviously King of Kingsfield, lots have been made of this as well, because he's also been left on 140, which I think is interesting. But in a race like the County Hurdle, 5 of the last 8 winners of the County Hurdle Ronan Groome returned 20 to 1 or bigger. It's not a race I'd like to get massively involved in. And even though he is left on 140, people are talking about him as the absolute banker of the meeting. I can't be having it now. He's been very disappointing. Look, he could be well treated for sure off 140, but there could be 10 others also well treated. He wouldn't appeal to me as a bet. Would he appeal to you?
Yeah, I have to say, I like him in Basel. Jack Kennedy was speaking about it on Monday. Obviously, the press went down at Gordon on Monday, and he's dying for him to run here. Just the run style, I suppose. He's a horse he likes to kind of settle in off behind the big pass horses. The field here would suit him down to ground, I suppose, in the new course. And again, one of the very few horses. If you ask people what were the interesting Irish horses from the entries before we got weights, I'm sure King of Kingsfield would have been, like Sam Majest, would have been on a lot of shortlists, and he's got nothing again. He's one of the few Irish horses that's been left unchanged. Obviously, he's got the Grade 1 form, and Gordon was like thinking he was a supreme horse initially. Got the form around Cheltenham as well. Very interesting, I think. I couldn't talk anyone down of saying that he's one of the main players for the county hurdle. Sure.
For the purpose of the challenge, I'd be surprised if I put a horse in the county hurdle. But I see what you're saying. Look, maybe he'll make appeal on the day as an each way bet if you got a decent price. But I wouldn't say he will. I'd say he could start close to favourite. That's King of Kingsfield left on change. So too, Bet Manjadak, who is a big eye catcher, I think, for me, Ronan Groome, in that Grade 1 when last seen. And look, 133, again, the Boodles, a tricky race to get a handle on. He'd have to be a big player off 133, I think. But I think the real interesting one, from a juvenile perspective, is Milantino, because it does have Roland the form tied in with the likes of Burdett Road, obviously, on 2 occasions, and Sergino. And obviously, Noel George knows the time of the day, has the right colours. I think he could be the only JP McManus runner in the Boodles, bar Nara. So he might have 2 potentially in the Boodles. But as you can see, -10, that basically means he's rated 136 in France. And we know I suppose the bottom line is, look, he's 126 in the UK. So he could be very well treated, and he's come for plenty of support in the last couple of days. That's Milantino. And I think he's a big player in the Boodles.
Oh, he's got to be. I believe the trainers were over the moon with it, hearing that they're definitely going to run now. Like, he was, obviously everyone saw it when he ran against Sergino. He had a rating of 136. That was the British handicappers' reading of his French form, and has now decided that he's 126 in one run. You know, he was only beaten 11 lengths by Sergino, who every seen is an absolute good thing for the triumph. So you can clearly see the angle there, and you know, a lot was made at the time Gaelic Warrior went for the Boodles, wasn't it? Wasn't a rumor going around that they just made a mess of his rating, or the rating that came in the inbox or whatever was just someone messed it up, and he shouldn't have been running off that at all. Echoes of that, I suppose, as well. It's just a curiously kind of handicap situation. So I can see where people are coming from there for sure. Batman Jarak, yeah, he just looks.
Batman Jarak.
He's handicapped for what he's done, I suppose, isn't he? Like, that form in the Grade 2, he's got to be something like that 133, isn't he? But yeah, he's interesting as well. He's only had a couple of starts and come back from a flop first time out. Much better last time, I'd like to say.
We'll be looking at the chasers after this.
Granger and Patrick Mullins.
McGree had justified favouritism, but sharp object out in front was ready for John McConnell and Alex Harvey.
Western victory, Silver Land. That'll be the finishing order.
And the chasers, Ronan Groome, that we're going to take a look at. Good time, Johnny. I think he more or less wrapped up the challenge for me last year when I put him in at a real decent price. That was in the Pertemps. He got absolutely hammered.
I wouldn't have been wanted to be the old cat around Aridstown there when this news came in. £10 for this. Like, I'm just going through his form here, Basil. Like, beaten 59 lengths last time out, 27 lengths the time before, 37 lengths before that, 58 lengths at Fairyhouse. You know, he's had the 6 starts over fences, the 4 this season. The form, obviously, the 5th at to Hartwood is quite good form, isn't it? That was a much better race, or a much better performance than what he'd been showing elsewhere. But £10 is stiff, and I wonder, they were thinking, they had him entered in the Pertemps qualifier, didn't they, again on Sunday? I wonder where they're thinking, you know, the jumping, he just hasn't jumped that well so far. Could we go back to the Pertemps again? So there is even a bit of doubt in the camp already, and then the £10 gets shoveled on. I think he's a bit of a bust now, to be honest.
Well, I wonder would they consider the Irish national, obviously prize money wise, might just be, he's obviously had a spin around fairies. Derek O'Connor, of course, was on board. He's already sat on his back on one of his chase starts this season. But yeah, look, I don't know. I'd say connections might be looking at the Pertemps, thinking maybe should we have gone down the same road again, and maybe try to do a Saturday early on it and win back-to-back Pertemps. It's a big ask, isn't it, off that type of rating. Percy Valdegalwa, 144, so up £7. I'd say he was on plenty of short lists prior, but again, that's a pretty tough mark to overcome, is it?
Yeah, that's one I just saw lots of people talking about. Like, so this is basically two different approaches to handicapping, I suppose. If you look at his race the last day, Percival Lagalwa, like, he was coming there and he did have a big chance against Hartwood for sure. But to say, you know, the Irish handicapper, how did he treat it? He said, filed the last, he gave him £2. The English handicappers decided to give him much more than that. So it's basically just an idea of what you thought was going to happen. And this is where it's all subjective. So for him to get £7, and you'd be fair, you know, it's a fair call to say he would have went close there. Even just close, not to mind winning. Like, Hartwood went on and won by 14 lengths on the day. So yeah, I think that's on the harsh side now, I must say.
I thought the interesting one in the same colours, Ronan Groome, the interesting one in the same silks, in the same stable, is I Know the Way You're Thinking. Now, his pedigree doesn't exactly scream 3 mile 2 furlong on the Thursday of Cheltenham in a race like the Kim Muir, but the novices in particular, I think the last 5 winners of the Kim Muir were novices, and the Irish have a fantastic record in the race. And look at that rating, 145, bang on the money. He'll be top weight, and yeah, like, I think he's way more interesting now at this point in time than Percy Ladagalwa. What do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And he got, if you go back, he was in the race, the Leopardstown Chase that Hartwood won as well. He was well back in the field, but he did get hampered early on in the race. So I would hit that run there a tiny bit. And you go back before that, he was third to Gaelic Warrior down at Limerick. Like, he's
on 2 occasions, was he? He was before that.
Yeah, he was third. His second first time out and got closer to him then at Limerick. Second to him in Punchestown earlier in the season. Got a bit closer down on the softer ground down at Limerick. Like, he is definitely, I'd say they're over the moon. He's stayed within the parameter of the Kim Muir for 145. You get a good amateur on him, definitely on the short list.
Yeah, I'd say so. 100%. He'd make more appeal to me. Sam Waugh, look, he's not getting any younger. 152 for the Grand Annual. Park that for a second, because I want to discuss the Goffer. 147, Ronan Groome, up £3 from his Irish rating. But I just thought it was really, really interesting. Obviously, the race he ran last year, we see how the Ultimas after working out, with obviously the likes of Corrick Ramler coming out and winning since, and Faster Slow has got on to beat Gallop and the Champ on 2 occasions. So that is not bad form, and it looked a really hot renewal of the Ultima. And I didn't check. You might confirm to me what he ran off in the race last year. Wouldn't be too far off it. Is it £1 lower?
He's £2 lower.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a good case for that. Yeah, I forgot he ran so well actually in the Ultima last season, and as you say, it was a crack renewal of the Ultima. His form over fences very early in the season, he was kind of running over summer, wasn't he? He was fifth in the Kerry National down there to Desamore House, and a little sharpener over hurdles at Punchestown the last day, or not over hurdles. Sorry, he was in the up the yard race, wasn't he? So that probably served a purpose as well, just to get him back match fitness, I suppose, as well. Very interesting, I'd say. Yeah, £2 lower, and probably in a softer race. Will it be as good as this year? Is there a Grand National and a Grade 1 winner in it this year? I doubt it, to be honest. I've
no strong opinion on Sam Waugh, but I do have a strong opinion on Inniskerry, who was my selection in the challenge yesterday. I'm absolutely over the moon with this. Up £1 to 148. The big question is, Ronan Groome, can the cloud stay away? Because he doesn't want very testing ground in Inniskerry. All of his wins have been in nicer ground. Looking at the forecast, we're due a dry spell, I think, the week before Cheltenham. We're running out of time now for the sun to start shining, but there's quite a bit of rain around at the moment. Look, it'll want to start drying. Good to soft ground to be fine for him. Probably on the easier side of good to soft as well. Even soft ground he might get away with, but he wouldn't want any softer than that. So if it turned into, I think the weather conditions will be important to Inniskerry, but I think looking at that mark, 148, I think he's a graded horse in a handicap and a very likely race 10-year-old.
Yeah, you're right, though. I think ground is absolutely everything to him, isn't it? So you'd want at the very least, good to soft, and you could do with it drying out kind of sunny day at Cheltenham after that, really. You know, those days that it tends to get a bit quicker. He just needs it good, doesn't he? And 2 miles, he'd definitely be interested if you get that. I would be slightly worried about the ground. I think there's a good chance we get soft ground again at Cheltenham this year.
Yeah, well, you have a selection later on in the show, and that selection does like soft ground. Let's be clear about it. up a pound for the plate handicap. Gavin Cromwell on the Boylesports course preview did put this up as his charity bet. I thought that was interesting. Obviously, let's be clear about it. I mean, you were thinking he was going to shape up at the beginning of the season when he went off favourite for the Drimore into potentially something like a Turner's horse. 153, up a pound. The handicapper has been lenient, and he ran an absolute cracker. Won quite keen in the Albert Bartlett last year. So he finished in the frame. Was only beaten 5 lengths, I think, in total behind Stay Away Fair. I think that's good hurdles form. He's a better chaser. And if he can rediscover his form from the start of the season over fences, he's a very good jumper. And Keith Donoghue knows him well. He'd be a player, Ronan Groome, I think, in that plate.
I get hard to get a read on him. I was at Ferryhouse that day. They backed him off the boards for the damn more and travelled into the race like a good thing, really, didn't he? And then just seemed to not see it out properly. Then they tried him, gone up and tripped, then the 3 miles, seen him could possibly be like a national hunt horse, and didn't seem to really see that out either. He definitely talented on his day. The way he won a Cork earlier in the season is very impressive. But again, in the Drimore, did you think he just kind of travelled into the race and cut out a bit? I'm not sure if he's seen it out completely. I do appreciate what you say. He has a nice profile. He's a lightly race chaser. He's got form at Cheltenham and he's only a pound higher. But
I thought Gavin Cromwell was going to have a double on the day, and turned out both of his horses really disappointed on that particular day. And Cantor Bruno could be another interesting one for handicaps. We didn't mention him. I think he got £3 and has entered up in both the Martin Pipe and the County Hurdle. He could be a player on the new course, by the way, in that County Hurdle. He's a course winner, and on nicer ground, the ground dries out as the week goes on, as we know. You tend to get, quicker ground on the Thursday and the Friday on the new course over 2 miles. I thought he was an interesting runner in Cantor Bruno in the County Hurdle. So if both of those bounce back to form, look, it's interesting you say that. I think he's a very, very good jumper. Let's be clear about it. He definitely has disappointed on a couple of occasions, but on his best form, I think 153, he could at least be competitive in a race like that. An interesting little stat on the plate handicap, though, Ronan Groome, just to mention and to throw it in there, 18 of the last 22 winners carried 10 stone, 13 or less. So you need to be under 11 stone. He's going to be up there towards the front end of the weights. Just an interesting one, I thought. It can sometimes pay to have a lighter weight in a race like this. Speaking about the plate, last year's favourite, I think he went off favourite in the end, So Scottish. He's one I wanted to mention as well. I'm not sure in the last 10 years how many times he would have got into the County Hurdle of 133. But it's interesting he ran behind Lord Erskine at Leopardstown when last seen. Switcheroo from fences back over hurdles. It'd be such an Ante-Mullins thing to do, wouldn't it? County Hurdle with So Scottish and absolutely bolt in.
Granchy and Patrick Mullins.
Agree had justified favouritism, but sharp object out in front was ready for John McConnell and Alex Harvey.
Western victory, Silver Land. That'll be the finishing order.
And the honour's yours, Mr. Groome. What have you gone with? I gave away a clue. He likes soft ground, or she, should I say.
Yeah, you're giving away another clue with she. Yeah, she likes soft ground. And she's running in the Grand Annual, and she won the race last season. So I'm sure a few people know who we're talking about already. That's Muscada. Yeah, I like this, and this is a really nice little price boost from the good people in the Boylesports trading room. Much obliged. I think this is a big player going back into the Grand Annual. I think the Grand Annual is a race. It's quite a unique test. She's obviously passed that test in flying colours last season. You look at the way the form has worked out from that race. She beat Dino Blue there. Dino Blue's emerged as like a really kind of, maybe not absolute grade 1 level 2 mile chaser, but she's not far behind it. She's running right up beside the likes of El Fabiolo and behind him this season. And she beat him really well. She saw it out really well up the Cheltenham Hill. She had Noble Citizen back in third, or not Noble Citizen, Global Citizen even back in third. And he had won the wit race previously, which also gives a bit more legitimacy to the fact that it's just that type of race that you need to the course and distance form is very important. Look, she's ran 3 times this season. A bit disappointing first time out, but she came on from that a lot when she was third to Fildor and El Fabio down in the hilly way. That was a really good run. on the ratings. And I just think she got involved in a bit of a boil up last day at Nace in the Opera Hat. They went off a bit too quick, herself and Riviere de Tel. She just got kind of done for kind of stamina then late on, having got involved in the early scrimmaging, and was allowed to kind of come home then her own time, and come back for this. As it happens now, she can run off an 8 pound higher mark, go back to that race. There's every chance, as I said, she'll have the similar conditions again, soft ground. And we know how good Henry de Bromhead is with 2 mile chasers specifically, and just generally getting horses ready for Cheltenham. And he's starting to hit form again. We can see that same owners have had, luck with a lot of luck with 2 good mares recently. Hispanic Moon was a good winner at Punchestown, and Lantry Lady was a good winner at Gowran Park as well. Henry's horse is starting to hit form. And this mare, I think, she's a real classy operator on a day. And I just think this price is very, very generous indeed for a Grand Annual. So delighted to get her on the team.
Well, you did it last year, Ronan Groome, with a repeat winner in Corach Rambler. Let's see, can you do it with Mascana this time in the Grand Annual, 18-1? Can certainly see the case. And very interesting player, I think, for that race indeed, especially if the ground turns up soft. Bow to Greatness, 22-1. Again, a massive price boost out from 16-1. I think this is a really interesting runner in the race, Roland. And when we had Ben Pauling on the Champ.ie podcast, this was the one horse he nominated with a view to running a massive race at the Cheltenham Festival. He's a brilliant team going to Cheltenham. He always seems to pull a rabbit out of the hat in terms of getting a winner at the festival. Obviously, Willoughby Cord won there. We had the global, of course, Citizen won the Grand Annual Chase. And, of course, he did win with Labroil in the National Hunt Chase. They're just recent winners for Ben Pauling. So he can produce Cheltenham Festival winners, and he's a really nice team going there. I think this is a really good price as well, Roland. Look, I suppose the one thing with this, the small, slight little risk is, will he definitely get into the Kim Muir off 133? If he does, he'll be carrying a featherweight, and he would have got in 8 times in the last 10 years. So I'm going to take the chance, looking at the price. He's entered up in the National Hunt Chase as well, which Ben Pauling said yesterday that he have no problem staying the 3 mile 6 furlong. So he'll stay all day. He's had 9 starts over fences in his life, yet to get his head in front. But I love the way he's progressed this season with every run. And Ben Pauling made reference on our show and yesterday on his press day that this horse, it takes an age to get this horse fit. Like he's quite a stuffy individual. He has everything you need for me in this race. He jumps, he travels, and he stays. And he's that second season novice. So a lovely profile for the race with enough experience as well. And I think, look, the Irish have dominated the Kim Muir in recent seasons, but at 22-1, I just think that's a massive price. And I would be pretty sure he'll get into the race. He'd want to be very unlucky not to get in off 133, Roland. What do you think?
Yeah, he should get in, I'd say. Yeah, I think you should be safe there. What did I see a clip yesterday? Ben Pauling was saying he was ahead of the handicapper, he thought, or was that to come out today? I saw on social media as well. So
he's been well backed. He's been well backed for the race in the last, I suppose, 24 hours, and he looks to me like he's just about ready for a career best.
Yeah, but the run on Saturday was very good, wasn't it, Jim? I think we were kind of talking about that, weren't we? Wondering, was it too close to Cheltenham? But clearly, obviously, this has been the plan. Ben Pauling has been talking about that, or he was at something there. I can't recall exactly. Nick Luck was interviewing.
He was entered in the Reynolstown. He was entered in the Reynolstown originally, and Ben Pauling was going to go there, but obviously he's come out and won the race with Henry's friend, and then he went to Kempton instead for his prep run. So I think, given the comments that this horse took a big blow 2 out. He said, I think the words from Ben Pauling was, I'm sorry to tell you, Ben, but he blew up 2 out. So, another little bit of work, please, in the next couple of weeks. And hopefully that'll leave him absolutely spot on and he'll stay all day, this horse. So Harry Redknapp, could he join Alex Ferguson in the winner's enclosure? This time at the Cheltenham Festival, 22-1, another juicy price. And you can avail of that over on the Boylesports website. And you will see it under National Hunt, Champ.ie Ante-Post Price Boosts. And there you go. Bob's your uncle. That has been episode number 16, Ronan Groome, of the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. Make sure to get your selections down below. And we'll be back with, of course, our Cheltenham preview video tomorrow. And we'll be back next week looking at the handicaps on Thursday. And we have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, Ronan Groome. 3 episodes on the challenge to look forward to next week. Just 4 more episodes left. Can you believe it? It's getting close.
Yeah, we're getting close now. We're just around the corner. It's getting into, as Alex Ferguson would say, squeaky bum time.
Squeaky bum time. Martin Brazel by the way, as our special guest on the show tomorrow. So stay tuned to the YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed already, don't forget, only 40% of our viewers this year have actually subscribed to the channel. So make sure to do so. Always helps us out. See you soon.